Hey guys, it's Haley and welcome to another bookish video. Today I'm going to be getting into yet another day of Happy Haley days, and in today's video we're getting into more winter book recommendations. I've already done thriller winter recommendations. I've done winter horror recommendations. Now we have come to general fiction. So this is gonna be part fantasy, part magical realism, part romance, part super smutty romance, and everything in between. Basically, non-thriller and horror, although I do believe that I have like maybe a mystery that's a little bit slower and less thrilling. That is what you can expect. A ton of wintry, cozy, Christmassy holiday vibes. There is truly something for everyone in this video. If you like fantasy, you like never get fantasy recs from me, you're about to get some today. If you like smut, I got smut for you. If you like non-smut, I got non-smutty romance for you. Really anything you like, we got in this video. But before I get into the book recommendations, I do want to thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Beducated. If you have not heard me talk about Beducated before, they are an amazing website and app that I love so much. They are providing a super fun way to get your sex education from knowledgeable experts, not from the streets or from your freaking 7th grade health class that didn't really do much for you. If you're looking for a fun and really informative way to answer any questions you have about sex and intimacy, Beducated is the perfect place for it. They have over 100 online courses all about sex and intimacy, as you can see here. There is huge variety, everything from like basics all the way down to like self-pleasure, you don't even need to involve a partner, and all the way up to kink and non-monogamy. They have video tutorials, practical exercises, and reliable info from experts. Obviously, Beducated is super fun to use with yourself or with a partner, but it could also make a great gift this holiday season. You can treat yourself or your loved one. I think this would be a really fun, sexy gift for a partner. Give the gift of pleasure this Christmas, a present that no material object can ever really top. You can embark on this journey of sexual exploration with your partner from the comfort of your bedroom. If you want to join Beducated today, you can use my code Hailey Hughes, literally just my name. Either for yourself or your special someone, you can get 40% off a yearly pass, locked in for life. This is their best deal of the year. It is so amazing. And you can also test the waters with a 24-hour trial period. So if you look into it, you decide it's not for you, totally fine, but I know you're gonna be hooked. There's also a risk-free 14-day money-back guarantee. I'm actually really thinking that I want to do this for my best friend who's been single for 5 years. We're gonna get her back into the game, even if it's just with her damn self. So check out Beducated this holiday season, and thank you so much to Beducated for sponsoring this video. Now let's go ahead and get into the wintry book recs. I'm gonna start out with a very recent read. I just read this a couple days ago, and as soon as I finished it, I knew that I would be putting it in this video. That is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. This is a romance, but it is so much more than that, guys. You know me, I'm not a super obsessed romance lover. I've really not been in my romance era the past couple years, but something about this was just so sweet to me. I think it was the coziness factor of it. It has found family. It's really driven by our main female character's development rather than the relationship. So it is much more than your typical romance. It also has some magic fantasy vibes to it. And I just feel like the winter is the perfect time for that. But basically we are following our main character who is a witch, and she knows that the rules for witches in our society are that they're isolated, okay? We cannot be letting the normal people find out about the witchery that goes on underground. So every witch kind of lives their life in isolation. But when she gets an invite to go teach 3 burgeoning witches about how to harness their magic and use their abilities. And there's also this like kind of dark, brooding, fatherly figure that is staying at the mansion as well. She's like, you know what? Maybe it's time to bust down these walls, not only between the witches in our society, but also between herself and between possible romantic partners. So it is this really fun, heartwarming journey for our main character, filled with spells and really sweet, heartwarming scenes. It takes place on the English countryside, and it is very wintry, like the chill in the air and drinking the warm tea inside and doing their little magical spells. It's not just your straightforward romance. There's so much to it with the fantasy elements and the development of our main character. It's so much fun. But of course, I do have some straight up romance recommendations for you as well. This is one of my favorite romances that I read last Christmas, and that is Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison. This was so much fun, so sweet. I literally was baking Christmas cookies and sobbing as I listened to the end of this audiobook. We're following our main character who owns and operates a Christmas tree farm that has been in her family for years, but it is failing, and she decides that to pump it up and not lose it, she's going to enter this contest run by an influencer that has a $100,000 cash prize. And in order to make her application look a little bit more enticing, she decides to pitch it as a romantic little couple-run venture. But when she gets chosen, she realizes she actually needs a man for that, so she ends up drafting her longtime best friend to do this, and they start up this fake dating situation to save the Christmas tree farm, but obviously it turns into more than that. I love the tension in this book. It's smutty, but not too smutty. It's very light smut, just when you need it, and it's definitely more about the emotional connection between the characters and the cozy, beautiful Christmas atmosphere of the story. I loved it so much, especially the ending. I literally thought the ending was perfect. That's what clinched the 5-star for me. It was when I was sobbing with cookies in my hands. I was like, oh my god, I have to put these down. Like, what is happening to me right now? So freaking cute. Next up, I have a YA mystery, and this is one of my favorite books to recommend around the winter because it just has that perfect atmosphere, but it's not enough of a thriller for me to put it in a thriller video. That is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson. Now, this is a longer series. I believe there are 6 books or something. I have only read the first 4 or 5. I really would just recommend the first 3. After that, they kind of start to go downhill. This first one, though, is so good. We are following this elite boarding school for really gifted children with special abilities. And our main character's special thing is that she's a true crime investigator girly. And when a murder takes place on the grounds of the school, and it seems to be connected to events from the past because there's this whole dark history of this boarding school, they call her in and they get her on the case. That's like her capstone project for school, is solving these murders. There's no big like on-page violence, but the mystery is so fun and entertaining. I didn't predict any part of the resolution, and there's this really sweet dynamic between the kids. It's very found family vibes. There's queer rep in here that's really fun. It's YA that is not insufferable, and it's so fun and cozy. It takes place at this like huge manor, so it gives like cozy Harry Pottery winter vibes. It's perfect. Next up, we have The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox, and when I picked this up, I thought it was going to be a sapphic romance. Like, you see these girlies and you're like, oh, okay, sapphic holiday romance, like so fun. In true bisexual nature, I was drawn into this, but the thing that really did it for me was that there was also men in here. So these girls are actually not in a relationship. They're twins, and and they end up switching places for the holidays and meeting respective men in the other twins' lives that they fall in love with. So disappointing that it was not sapphic, but it ended up working out for my bias anyway. I thought this was so sweet. It's a rom-com that's actually funny. It made me laugh, and it had these immaculate Christmas vibes. One of the girls does like a cooking show, and I think that is so sweet. And then the other girl runs like this little small town bake shop, and that is also so sweet. It's like perfect, cozy, funny romance, light vibes, such an easy read, perfect for the holiday season. And I feel like this one is so underrated. If you are looking at all the Christmas romances on the shelves and you're like, what the hell, they all seem the same, they all have these weird animated covers, like who's going to be the one for me? Let it be this one. Getting into some more fantasy. Obviously, one of the biggest parts of my reading in 2024 has been the Throne of Glass series. I really highly recommend, if you haven't read it, that you read it this time of year. I don't know. I just think the winter is the perfect time to pull out a new fantasy series and get invested, get cozy. You have maybe time off for Christmas, so you can really let yourself get into it. This is obviously the first book of the series, Throne of Glass. Really, I recommend that you start with Assassin's Blade, the prequel little short stories. Definitely read that first. Anyone who tells you to read it at any other point in the series is wrong, and I will stand by that, and I will fight for that until the day that I die. Read Assassin's Blade first, and then read Throne of Glass, and this is the first book in the series following this girl, Selena, who is an assassin, and she gets into all of this shit. Oh my god, where do I even start with her? She's trying to win her freedom from just being an assassin forever under the rule of this like construct in the kingdom. So she's very fierce, she's very independent, she's fighting for her independence, but things come up along the way. She gets pulled into all these side plots, and she starts realizing it's not just about winning her freedom, it's about honing these special abilities. She is a strong female main character in a fantasy series that does not give pick me, which I really appreciate. Sometimes I would get annoyed with Feyre when I was reading the ACOTAR series, but Throne of Glass doesn't have that issue. So I highly recommend it. Do I recommend Sarah J. Maas as a person? No, she sucks, you guys. She sucks. But I also can see nuance in all things and understand that this series is a really nice, cozy read for the winter and brought me a lot of joy when I read it and recreated that childhood feeling of like getting lost in a fantasy series that I literally hadn't felt since 5th grade. So if you are gonna bully me for liking Throne of Glass, know that you're also bullying that little 5th grader who lives inside of me and just wants to feel that joy. I am not co-signing any of Sarah J. Maas's actions, okay? I think the marketing that she did for the Court of Silver Flames was so tone deaf and fucked up and stupid. But guess what? I also like these books. Next up, I have some more literary fiction vibes for you. This book actually takes place on Christmas, so it's a short little novella perfect to read on Christmas or Christmas Eve, and that is The Deal of a Lifetime by Frederick Bachman. We are following a father and son who have been estranged being reunited on this cold, wintry Christmas night, and the son is basically confronted with a moral dilemma. He can save his dad, who he's been estranged from for years, or he can save a little girl who is in the hospital. It's a very like a reason for the season, but not in a religious way kind of message. It's about giving, it's about working out these moral dilemmas based on your past experiences and childhood trauma, but it's also extremely, extremely heartwarming and just kind of reminds you of those things that we tend to think about around this time of year. Also set in the winter, so perfect for the winter. It's a quick read, it's meaningful. I love Frederick Bachman's writing style. You really cannot go wrong with this one. Jumping back into romance, let's talk about In a Holidays by Christina Lauren. This one is so unserious. Okay, I had so much fun with it. I don't know if I've had more fun with a Christmas romance. I didn't get a lot of like emotion or meaning out of it. It's a romance, but like, did I care about the connection between the characters? No, not at all. Not in the slightest. It was just a fun, dumb time. It basically operates on the trope of like Groundhog Day, where our main character is living the same day over and over and over and over on this Christmas getaway with her family and this man that she has some vibes with, and she has to live the same day where she gets in an accident over and over and over and over until she gets it right and avoids having the accident and finds her love forever. There are so many scenes of like just vibey holiday activities. There's so much dumb, like, I want to say idiocy in the whole like Groundhog Day trope. It's fun, it's dumb, it's vibes. I feel like if you got a cranberry mimosa in your hand and you're just like trying to kill time at a family gathering, this book is gonna be it. Getting back into fantasy, one of my recent 5-star reads was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree, and I freaking love this book. If y'all have more recommendations that are like this book, please drop them down below. I freaking loved it. I'm obsessed. This is about a girly pop who is a strong woman, okay? She's a creature and she was out here like slaying people, literally slaying. I mean, figuratively slaying, but also like literally she was killing people. And she's like, you know what? I'm tired, girl. I'm tired. I'm gonna put the sword down and open a coffee shop. It's time to rest. So she's in her cozy era and we're along with her. There's also a sapphic romance between two creatures that blossoms in a coffee shop. It is so cozy. It is so adorable. It's so like no plot, but there is a plot. I was actually like, my heart was broken and I was on the edge of my seat, which I did not expect, because the first like 100 pages are just cozy vibes, wintry, making coffee, getting love, like doing all of this. And then the last half I was like, oh, there are stakes here. There are stakes, not high stakes. It's not a lot, but it's nice. Okay, it's a really nice book. It has nice characters, nice vibes, a nice little plot structure that comes in at the end and like really gives the book some meat. It's perfect. It's perfect. And it's perfect for winter because of the cozy factor. Next up, we have a book that is not so cozy. Okay, this is actually a very emotionally intense read, so please, please, please look up trigger warnings for this book. But I also think that it is very, very important, especially for the times that we are living in right now, with the election results and all of that. My next recommendation I have for you is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. This takes place in a small, little, isolated, snowy hockey town. When I say it's a hockey town, I mean like the whole town, socially, economically, everything is based around hockey. And what this book is talking about is rape culture. It is a very, very strong commentary around women's bodies when a young girl comes out against a boy whose father is the coach of the hockey team, and she basically has allegations against him. We see the fallout and how it affects the whole town, how it affects our main character, who underwent what she went through, how it affects the alleged perpetrator's family, and really the entire structure of the town is upset by one girl saying what she has gone through. You know, this is a really poignant read for this time. I think Frederick Bachman captured those dynamics extremely well in this book with sensitivity, but it is a hard read. Like I said, look up trigger warnings, but if you feel like you are in a place where you could read this book, I highly recommend it. For me as a survivor, it was extremely validating. It was heartbreaking, it was grief, but it was also just great to feel understood. Next up, we have The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, and this is maybe more like New Year's-y than Christmassy, but still wintry, okay? We're thinking about regrets, okay? We're thinking about times of our life that we wish we could go and undo or redo, and I feel like that's very New Year's-y. In The Midnight Library, we're following a woman who is suicidal. Like, she wants to be done, okay? Before she does that, makes that decision for herself, she comes to the Midnight Library where she can flip through all of these books and basically read the story of how her life would have worked out if things would have gone a different way from her, because she has all of these regrets and she's just vexed by the way that her life has gone. But once she starts exploring these other avenues her life could have taken, it brings a lot of meaning and a lot of clarity. This is a very heavy read in the beginning, but by the end it's so hopeful. This book made me cry. It's very spoon-fed, I would say. Like, it kind of gives you exactly what you're looking for going in. There's nothing bigger or conceptual to it. It's just feel good. And I think if you are in a place of grieving or just like a really bad place this holiday season, which it's easy, that's very, very common to experience around this time of year, you might get a lot out of this. Again, similar to Beartown, you might want to check out the trigger warnings, really assess if you're in a good place to read this before going in. But if you do, I mean, I personally got a lot out of it. Jumping back into cozy fantasy land, I would recommend The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Oh my god, I love this book. It's a romance, but it's so much more than that. It's about these two rival magicians who are fated to really go against each other. I don't know how to describe this. They're like in this life or death competition, okay? Only one magician can survive, and they have these little circus acts and they do them back and forth, but also like they're connected by their souls. So if you think there's not gonna be a romance, like, you're wrong. And it's heartwarming and it's cozy, but it's also heart-wrenching and destroying, and it's magical and it's cozy, and the vibes of this like circus that just like pops up overnight in the middle of nowhere is so like, ooh, I'm going to the Ren Fair, like, ooh, I'm being cozy, ooh, give me my like hot chocolate and kettle corn. It's perfect vibes, it's cozy, it's romance, it makes your heart go which is exactly what I want in the winter. So go forth and read this book. This is the book that literally got me into fantasy. Every fantasy book I'd read before this, I was like, no. And then I read this and I was like, wait, maybe I should give her a try for real. The last recommendation that I have for you in this video is probably my favorite. It's a series that I read the new release every single year for the past few years on Christmas or around Christmas, and it just feels like the holidays to me. It feels like my winter read. I always highly anticipate it, and that is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. This is the first book in the series by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is a translated work about a little cafe in Japan, and this is a very special cafe because it has a seat where if you sit in it, you can time travel. You can go into the past, you can go into the future, you can do whatever you would like, but you have to stay in that seat in the coffee shop, and you can only stay in that moment in time for as long as it takes for your coffee to get cold. I love that dynamic. I love the rules of this little magic system, and each book in this series has these little vignettes of what people choose to do with that time travel and what they take away from it. It's funny. You get to know these quirky characters in the coffee shop. It's so cozy. It's heartwarming. I always sob reading these. It's just perfect for this season, you know? Cozy, meaningful, a little fantastical, wonderful. So I know this video is kind of different for me. I don't often get into just like general fiction, fantasy, romance, but here we are with something a little bit different. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you want 4 more of these recommendations, I will have my bonus content as always up on Patreon, which is linked down below. Also, while you're down there looking for Patreon, don't forget to try out Beducated with my link and my code, which is just my name, Hailey Hughes. You can get 40% off that yearly pass, either for yourself or someone to gift for this holiday season. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and got some good winter book recommendations. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And don't forget to go to therapy and read a book this week. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!